Hi, everyone. Today, I will be talking about why Christian leaders experience burnout. Burnout among Christian leaders. I'll be looking at this from a psychological and leadership perspective. Psychological and leadership perspective. When we talk about burnout, burnout is a state of a chronic physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged stress, especially stress related to work, leadership, caregiving, or high responsibility roles. It is not simply being tired, it is a depletion over time. It is depletion over time. Looking further into the definition of burnout according to World Health Organization, it's a syndrome resulting from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed over time. And let me say today, when we talk about burnout, there are three perspectives, three dimensions that it comes from. Number one, emotional exhaustion. That is when you begin to feel drained and unable to give more. As you know, giving is associated with leadership. Number two, depersonalization. That is when you become detached, negative, or indifferent. Number three is reduced personal accomplishment, a feeling of ineffective or unproductive as a result of what you have been doing over time. All right? That is where it comes from. So burnout is what happens when stress becomes constant, rest is insufficient or insufficient, and three, meaning begins to fade, and performance continues, but passion disappears. I can tell you today that many people are there today among Christian leaders. You must be able to differentiate between burnout and stress. When we talk about burnout, we're talking about over disengagement. Burnout is disengagement. Why stress is over engagement. Number two, burnout is blunted emotions. Why stress is overactive emotions. Number three, burnout is a feeling of helplessness. Why stress is feeling of urgency. Burnout is emptiness. Why stress is anxiety. We must be able to identify this in leadership and ministry context. It is very, very relevant for leaders, especially clergy, executive, and mental health professionals. Burnout often looks like functioning publicly, but collapsing privately. All right? Burnout often looks like increased irritability. It often looks like spiritual dryness. It often looks like loss of joy in previously meaningful work. And of course, burnout often looks like compassion fatigue. Okay, as leaders, it is very important that we clarify this clinically, that burnout is not laziness. Burnout is not weakness. Burnout, not simply poor time management. It is unmanaged chronic stress plus depleted recovery capacity. That is what burnout means and how burnout manifests. And I want to say at this point that in leadership, it is very important that we take note of this menace. And it is happening today, and many people are finding themselves in this situation. And that's why it is important we look into this in time like this. Okay, having said that, leadership multiplies emotional load. How? Through decision fatigue. Leadership involves taking of decisions from time to time, and most often when we are burnt out, we are tired of taking more decisions. Continuous emotional regulation. As you desire to support yourself and support people who are working with you, you run into burnout. The next one is public composure pressure. We are public figure as leaders. And of course, all eyes are on us. So sometimes we are overconscious of this. And as a result of that, we experience a lot of burnout. And of course, the fourth one is reduced psychological safety. You can't experience burnout and not, be aware that you are not safe. When you experience burnout, you'll be aware you feel unsafe. And we need to take note of this. Looking at other leadership risk factor, additional risk factor are spiritual expectation, boundary guilt, calling identity fusion, moral scrutiny, and constantly on financial pressure. We need to understand these are additional risk for leaders. Let's look at prevention framework. That is where a lot of work are to be done. A lot of works are to be done. Now, I bring before you today burnout prevention model. Burnout prevention model. The first one is awareness, consciousness of what is going on around you at every point in time. When you are burnt out, there's a loss of awareness. In psychology, there is something we call mindfulness, being present in the moment. We help you to understand, to be conscious what is going on around you. It is very important to increase our levels of awareness as we deal with burnout. That is where the work starts from. Number two is emotional regulation. There is a need for us to regulate our emotions from time to time as we lead people. Emotional regulation through a lot of things to be done, grounding ourselves, wellness exercises can help us to be emotionally regulated. Number three is structural boundaries. We need to draw boundaries, healthy boundaries from time to time. It's another way to deal with burnout as leader. And number four is identity differentiation. When we talk about identity differentiation, what are we talking about? Identity differentiation refers to the psychological capacity of an individual to maintain a clear, stable sense of self while remaining emotionally connected to other people. It is the ability to say, this is who am I, without I must disconnect from you or I must become like you. This was propounded by a man called Murray Bowen. It's a very good concept of Murray Bowen. Murray Bowen was the founder of Bowen family system theory. According to Bowen, he described differentiation of self as the ability to separate thinking from feeling, maintain personal convictions under relational pressure, and stay emotionally present without emotional fusion or cutoff. So when we talk about emotional differentiation, I want to spend a little time on this. Is the ability to regulate emotion, not overwhelmed by other people's moods, not reactive or defensive. When we talk about emotional differentiation, this is different from cognitive differentiation, where we have capacity to think clearly under stress or decision based on principle, not anxiety. And also we have relational differentiation, which is ability to stay connected without losing yourself, neither fused nor emotionally cut off. All right. So we need to identify differentiation across development. However, in pastoral leadership, we must be careful of absorbing congregational anxiety and making decisions grounded in theology and ethics, maintaining boundaries. Even when these are so important, we still need to be very careful. In academics leadership, which has to do with holding intellectual convictions without hostility, engaging in critique without insecurity. Coming to organization governance, we are talking about not personalizing opposition or leading without emotional reactivity. Highly differentiated leaders are calm in conflict, think clearly under pressure, and maintain moral clarity. And of course, they do not need approval to function. When it comes to spiritual dimension, in Christian formation, identity differentiation connects to identity in Christ, not anxious, precious, or non-anxious presence, servant leadership without people's pleasing, and maturity. We can go on and on and on and on when it comes to identity differentiation. But in summary, identity differentiation is the ability to be yourself, to think clearly, to stay connected, and remain calm under pressure. It's a hallmark of mature leadership, psychological health, and spiritual formation. These are what we need to do as we deal with Christian leaders' burnout. Are you experiencing this today? It is not a sign of laziness. It doesn't mean you are tired. You have a lot to offer. Just that there's a need for you to take a break and do something about it. I will be putting a PDF file in my bio today. Please open that PDF file and carry out leadership assessment today and know where you are. Until I come your way again on another episode, take care of yourself, and I will talk to you again. Bye for now.